Hello everyone, welcome back to David at Go To Hobbies. I've been thinking about how to reduce the noise of a stone tumbler. One of the things about a stone tumbler is going to vibrate and make a lot of noise through the stones tumbling. It's not only going to make noise, but it's going to also make vibration. So how can we reduce the amount of noise it makes? Do we put it in a box? Do we put noise deadening substances between, say, the bearing and its base? Do we put something to cushion it with a vibration? What do you think is a good idea? I know what I think, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And that is where the bearings are attached to a cleat on my stone tumbler, and that's screwed through into a self-tapping wood insert into a block of wood. I'm going to put a piece of rubber between that and that to try and reduce the noise of the vibration. And I'll do that on each bearing that's attached. So I'll have 2, 4, 6 bearings, so that'll be insulated to try and reduce the noise. And then the motor, where the motor sits, I'll put that on rubber to try and reduce the vibration through that noise as well. The other thing I can do is mount it on something that's going to help it not make a lot of noise on the surface it's sitting on. So what could I do for that? I could sit it on like a rubber mat. I could put feet on it to try and reduce the noise. I could try and put it in a box even, but you could even put a cardboard box over it. It would work to a certain extent, but what you don't want to do is block off the ventilation for your motor, because the motor will get hot and it could catch fire. So that's not a very good idea. You could have a little fan on your motor to try and keep it cool, but if that's the case, then are you using the correct motor for your stone tumbler if it's getting hot? Because that motor is trying to work to turn those shafts where you got your stones in a drum. Another idea would be to have a geared motor. What do I mean by a geared motor? Allow me to show you. I'm just going to get up and get one, and then you can see what I mean. So I'm just going to move the camera while I go and get it. Bear with me for a minute. Oh, right. I'm back. Excuse me about that. Right. Let's bring you back to where we were. Now, square you up. Right. Let's move that off of there. 2 seconds. Just move the pulley off of it. Right. This is a 240 volt single phase geared motor. So this motor speed is 2800, and it's being geared down to 70 revolutions per minute. So what difference does that make to you and your stone tumbler? Quite a few things. One, it will increase the torque that the motor is able to produce. In other words, you can tumble more stones with a smaller motor because it's geared down. So give an example. This will turn at 70 revolutions per minute. My stone tumbler, the drum, needs to turn at 40. And the problem I'm going to face with this is I need to gear the speed up, because how the shafts interact with the pulley sizes, and because if you can imagine the shaft that the drum runs on, it's going to have to turn faster because the pulley, the drum acts as a pulley itself. So you've got to take that into consideration when you calculate this. Now, I'm going to put this down because it's quite heavy actually. It weighs about 6 kilos. So, oh dear, excuse me, that was heavy. And I don't really want to drop that on my toe because I know it'll break it. So when you're handling heavy things like motors, always be very careful. Now, something to take in consideration, as I was saying about motors, if you have a motor without any gearing, you're going to have to gear that speed down through the pulleys. Now, the problem you're going to face is that if you're tumbling a lot of stones, you're going to make that motor work very much up to its maximum capacity. So what could happen? You could overheat the motor. You could actually burn the motor out. It could catch fire. So how do you reduce your risk of an electric motor catching fire and exceeding its capacity? Do a bit of research. That's the first tip. Know what you're buying. Understand how a geared motor will work and it'll benefit you, and then I can help you work out your speed of your rotations or your pulleys and stuff like that. There's plenty of apps online, and I've already recommended a couple. So if you want to find out how to work all your pulleys out, visit one of my videos and it will tell you about pulleys and how to work it all out. I'll give you a couple apps that you can go on through YouTube and you'll be able to work it all out yourself, and that's the best way forward actually. So how do you prevent overloading the motor? Well, what is the motor rated at? How many amps is it supposed to be? There's a couple things. Full load amps, in other words, when the motor's running to its maximum capacity, how many amps is it drawing? That little motor I showed you was about 1.6 amps. So I'm going to put a fuse in the plug. So I'll try and get a fuse, probably about a 1 amp fuse to start with, and then I'll get a 2 amp fuse and seek some advice if it's suitable to do that. 2 amps is probably a bit too much. The safest way is to get a dole switch. And a dole switch is basically a switch, like a stop-start switch, that if the motor cuts out or there's a power cut, the motor won't restart. There's a safety mechanism inside that switch to prevent that. If you're interested in how it works, go online and look at dole switch, DOL switch. There's also, you can buy an overload relay to protect your motor from burning out. You can get that at any good electrical wholesaler or electrical shop that does parts for DIY or more like electricians and stuff like that. You can buy it in those sort of shops. Now, that motor will need a capacitor, and it's because it's a single phase motor and I've got to wire it in, and obviously put an earth wire on it, wire it into a plug, but that is one option. The stop start switch is probably the safest way with an overload relay. You can't be too careful with electricity. You've got to be safe all the time. Don't take risks. I've seen other YouTube's channels where they just plug the motor into the electricity, and I don't think they've worked all the calculations out about how much electricity will it draw, how much amps will it draw, if you're overloading it, what if this and what if that. And I think the word is only if we knew what what we know now we knew then. It's a bit late when your house is burnt down or your garage is burnt down, outbuilding. The consequences is not worth it. So do your preventions first and make sure you cover the voltage and the ampage that you'll be using. Always err on the side of safety with electric products, in other words electric motors. When I decided to do this stone tumbler, I wanted to do it right, do a lot of research, what was the best stuff to make it out of, and so on and so forth. But I've looked a lot on eBay and bought 2 or 3 motors, and 2 of the motors are geared. One's a 900 RPM, but that's a 6-pole motor. Because it's a 6-pole, they can reduce the speed of the revolutions to a suitable amount, and then I can put pulleys onto that, and through other pulleys get a stone tumbling speed of 40. Anyway, I hope you like the video. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you want me to do a video on a specific subject, let me know in the comments below. If you didn't like the video, don't know why. I'm only trying to help. Give me a thumbs down. But I would appreciate a thumbs up. Comments either way, let me know. And if you like the channel, please subscribe. And if you want to see more of me, I hope you do, please click on the little bell icon and click all, and then it will notify you of all coming videos and what videos I've been producing and stuff like that. So this is just one project, get my teeth around it, and let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for visiting. David at Go To Hobbies. Bye for now.